Welcome to TechSphere Podcast, everyone. Today we're diving deep into the world of PHP.
PHP.
Yeah, the language that powers a lot more of the web than many people realize.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere, really. But it's kind of like the behind-the-scenes hero of web development, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think that's what we're going to try to uncover today.
Yeah.
What exactly makes this language tick? Why is it so prevalent, especially in web development?
Right. And I think a good place to start is, well, first off, by saying that PHP is a server-side scripting language. Now, that might sound a little jargony.
It does. Break it down for us. What does that even mean, server side?
Basically, it means that all the action happens on the web server, not on your computer.
Okay, so like the website's computer, not mine.
Exactly. So when you visit a website built with PHP, your browser sends a request to that server.
Right. I'm asking it to show me the website.
Right. And then the server running PHP does its magic. It processes that request. It might grab some information from a database.
What databases, yeah.
Puts it all together and then sends back a nicely formatted page to your browser.
And that's what I see. So in a way, PHP is kind of like the chef in a restaurant kitchen.
I like that analogy.
Right. Like we, the diners, we see the final dish, the website, but we don't necessarily see all the work that went into preparing it.
Exactly. And PHP is like that chef chopping vegetables, stirring pots, putting it all together behind the scenes.
And speaking of ingredients, I know PHP often works with databases right now.
All the time. Databases are like these massive, organized collections of information. Think of like user accounts, product details, blog posts, anything you can imagine a website needing to store.
And PHP is what allows us to actually access and use that information dynamically.
Exactly. PHP is really good at talking to databases, especially ones like MySQL, which are super common in web development.
So it's like PHP is fluent in database language. That's pretty cool. So we've got this powerful language. It's working behind the scenes, talking to the databases. But isn't PHP also known for being relatively easy to learn? At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it has a reputation for being beginner-friendly, at least compared to some other languages.
But I think a lot of that comes down to its syntax, right? Like how you actually write the code.
It's designed to be readable, which definitely helps.
So even if you're not a coding whiz, you can kind of look at PHP code and at least get the gist of what's going on, which is really helpful.
And then on top of that, you've got these things called frameworks, which make development even smoother.
Oh, yeah, frameworks. I've heard of those. Those are like, what, pre-built tools and structures.
Exactly. Think of it like this. You could build a house from scratch, brick by brick, or you could use a prefab kit that already has the walls and the roof and everything sort of ready to go.
Okay, so frameworks are like those prefab kits for PHP development.
Exactly. Things like Laravel and Symfony are great examples. They give developers this head start. They don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
So it speeds up the process, makes things more efficient.
And more consistent, too.
Right. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on is how PHP handles dynamic content. Because that's a big deal on the web today, right?
Huge. Websites aren't just static brochures anymore. They need to adapt to respond to the user.
Exactly. Like think about online shopping.
Perfect example. You add something to your cart, the site remembers it, even if you browse other pages.
Or those personalized recommendations you see on streaming services. Like, yeah, I do want to watch another episode of that show.
Exactly. And that's all PHP working behind the scenes, keeping track of your session.
Session tracking, right. So tell us a little more about that. How does PHP actually do that?
Well, in simple terms, it's kind of like PHP gives your browser a little ID card when you visit a website.
Like a digital cookie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But not those cookies you're thinking of. This ID card, or session ID, is how PHP remembers you from page to page. It stores information about your actions, your preferences, and uses that to create a more tailored experience.
So it's all about making the web feel more dynamic, more personal.
Precisely.
That's so cool. I mean, I think it's amazing how all this complex stuff is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And to most people, they have no idea. They just see their favorite website working seamlessly.
That's the beauty of it.
Well, on that note, I think we've done a pretty good job of demystifying PHP today, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
We've talked about its role as this server-side scripting language, its ability to interact with databases, the importance of frameworks, the whole world of dynamic content and session tracking. I feel like I've covered a lot of ground.
Absolutely.
So, to our listeners, next time you're browsing the web, remember that there's a good chance PHP is working tirelessly behind the scenes, making it all happen.
It's the unsung hero of many websites.
And thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into PHP. We hope you learned something new and interesting today.
Until next time.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll be back soon with another exciting deep dive into the world of tech. See ya!